Thank you for joining me today. It's Brian Gubernick, and welcome to the No Days Off podcast, where we believe that every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. Before we get into today's topic, I want to give a quick shout out to my friend Oscar. Oscar is actually a buddy of my daughter Avery's, and what I hear is that Oscar is listening to the podcast most every day. Oscar, I am really proud of you for listening to No Days Off. That means you are trying to get better every single day. I appreciate you listening. Keep getting after it, buddy. So let's get into today's topic. Today I want to talk about eating broccoli. Eating broccoli. Now, this is not an episode about health. Broccoli, we're going to use as an analogy for better planning and setting ourselves up for success as it pertains to our goals and our objectives. So let me explain. Let me tell you a story. As many of you may be aware, a partner of mine and I, we owned a CrossFit gym of all things for several years, from 2011 to 2010 to 2018 or 19. And as we ran that gym, of course, we had all different sorts of members come in, but most everybody that came in, they worked out really hard. They had an intention of obviously getting better in their health. And pretty much every single month, we would have somebody that would come to us that would say, hey Brian, or hey Derek. Derek was my partner. They would say, I'm working my ass off here in this gym. I'm putting in the work every single day, and I'm just not making the progress that I wish I'd be making, that I really want to be making. And I mean, again, this would happen every month. And the answer 9 out of 10 times was, yeah, you are working really hard, but 90% of your health success is going to be through your food and not necessarily through the workout itself. Don't get me wrong, working out makes a big difference, but the biggest differences are made in what you're consuming. In other words, you got to adjust the food. You got to adjust the diet. So we would meet with this individual. Derek would meet with this individual, and he'd say, hey, here's your issue. You need to eat broccoli. Now, what did he mean? Right now, he did literally mean eat broccoli. But what he was really trying to explain was, instead of trying to go overhaul your entire diet today, instead of trying to overhaul the entire diet, why don't we do this? Over the next week, instead of having fries on your plate or a baked potato with sour cream and chives or some sort of cheesy side dish or whatever it may be, how about this week we commit to removing that side dish and replacing it with broccoli? So the challenge was remove that one portion from your lunch and or your dinner, maybe it's even your breakfast, and replace it with broccoli. Now, it could literally be broccoli, but the idea here was replace it with something healthy. And so that's week one's challenge. So you'd go out and you'd eat broccoli. Now, undoubtedly, they'd come back and say, hey, I did it. I ate broccoli. I replaced those things on my plate that I could replace with broccoli. And they'd say, hey, I haven't made progress yet. And Derek would say, well, of course. Okay, cool. Now that you're eating broccoli, this week, what I want you to do is introduce 2 or 3 glasses of water every day in place of the 2 or 3 Diet Cokes that you have. Now, you could probably see where I'm going with this. So for the next week, that would be the challenge, to continue to eat broccoli, but now introduce water and replace the Diet Coke. Well, over the course of the next several weeks or several months, we would keep taking these same steps. Eat broccoli, drink water, slowly start to change other things on your plate. And you look up 2 months from then and find that your entire diet plan, your entire food plan had been overhauled. So why do I share this story? Well, I think too often in business and in life, we want to make a change. And we have a tendency to be impatient and look to make that change immediately. In other words, we look to go from 0 to 100. And I'll tell you what, it's rarely ever successful. It's just like making New Year's resolutions. Why do the vast majority of New Year's resolutions fail? It's because we make these big, audacious goals, and 9 out of 10 people make it 2, 3, 4 weeks at best, and then it's February and all things fall apart. Because it's just not sustainable, because we didn't build the habit, we didn't build the discipline required to achieve the overall objective. And why did that occur? Because we bit off more than we could chew, literally and figuratively. So eating broccoli is an analogy for let's start small. Let's start small. Let's win with adding just broccoli. Let's stack these wins, create momentum, and make for a lasting change. So in business and life, how might this apply? In business, let's say you've got a sales business and your business is not having the success that you want it to have. And you recognize that, hey, I need to change. I need to see my business go a different direction. So many of us, we go into the office on Monday and we're like, okay, got to change this, got to change that, got to change this, got to change that. And you meet with your team and you share this grand vision and everyone rallies and gets excited. And then 3 weeks later, everything's falling apart. And I believe that the vast majority of time when that occurs, it's because we attempted to do too much in too short a time frame. So what I would say is eat broccoli. What would that mean in the sales business? Instead of going in and doing a complete overhaul, how about we go in and we just adjust, say, the first 30 minutes of our day? Hey, team, we haven't been meeting every single morning like we know we should. I would like to ask everybody to commit to a 20-minute kickoff or power-up meeting every morning. And so we could start the day off right. Let's do that for the next 2 weeks. Okay, cool. Now we're consistent in eating broccoli, which in this case is doing the kickoff meeting, doing the power-up meeting. Now that we've done that, let's introduce 30 minutes of sales training 3 times a week. Okay, cool. Now we've adjusted, or we've just introduced a new side dish. See what I'm saying? Okay, now we're 3-4 weeks in. Let's introduce a new tactic or a new strategy. So we're slowly making these changes in bite-size components, right? We're doing it so that it's achievable and we could stack wins and we could build momentum. We're eating broccoli. So the focusing question for you today, where does this eat broccoli concept apply, right? Like, sure, it may apply very much so in your health plan, but how about in business? How about in life? Life, let's just say in relationships. Can you go 0 to 100 and change in a relationship? Maybe sometimes, but I'll tell you what, 9 out of 10 times you probably can't. So what do you have to do? Start small. That may just be hanging out around each other for 20 minutes and not even talking. Maybe that's the eat broccoli concept there. So the focusing question, where might this apply? And how would you go about applying it? Maybe another question here, where have you started, trying to make change, but haven't been able to fully make that turn? And as a result, keep maybe falling back to old ways. How could you do this differently? What would be the eat broccoli version of that particular circumstance? How could you take a smaller action and then layer on additional bigger actions down the road? Some things to think about today. That's all we have for you today, the No Days Off podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. So let's get after it.